This is Sean O'Malley, and you're watching Full-Time MMA. Don't be a bagel-biting, bagel bitch boy, bagel bitch back.
What's going on, Full-Time family? It is time for a live stream. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about, whole lot of current events and upcoming fights that have been announced within the last week or so. There wasn't fights actually this past weekend, but there's been a lot of news, a lot of action in the MMA world. So we're going to talk about those things. I'm going to make some bold predictions, it seems they are. And then also, yeah, I think that's probably about it. News, upcoming fights, talk to you guys a little bit, and then I'll be out your hair and off to work. So with that being said, hope everybody's doing great today. Let's get into the first topic. BJ Penn was attacked first in Hawaii street fight, the family rep says. If you don't know what's going on, BJ Penn was in a street fight over the weekend. He was actually, the video dropped of him first, attacking a guy. It was a really big guy. It seemed to be a dude, probably weighed in at heavyweight. But BJ Penn is a professional fighter. They were in seemed like bar scenario. And actually, he was in two fights. Earlier this week, he was in some sort of bar fight, or a couple of weeks ago, he was in some sort of bar fight. This is the second incident. And this incident with the bigger gentleman, BJ Penn had him in the full mount. The guy was, flattened out on his stomach. BJ Penn had him in the full mount and was landing some blows to it seemed like pretty close to the back of his head, his ears, shit like that. Which, if you're a professional fighter, you know what you're doing and you know exactly how dangerous blows to the back of the head are. So there's no excuse for that. Beta BJ Penn! I mean, Conor McGregor, BJ Penn. I've seen some people say this is worse than what McGregor did. I don't know if I'll go that far. Actually, it's not, because for one, this was a bigger dude. BJ Penn's really small, so even though he's a professional fighter, the other guy had some advantages. In Conor McGregor's situation, it was an old fucking man. So Conor McGregor's a geezer beater. I think that's a little bit different than BJ Penn, especially in this second scenario, which, as his rep said, he was hit first. Now, we don't know how the fight started, but we do know BJ Penn got knocked the fuck out, like on Friday. He thought he was being funny, letting the big man swing. I watched the video. BJ Penn was like, swing again, swing at me, bro. Dude missed with the first shot, but that second hook connected, and BJ just went out. Boom. That's a big dude. So even though you think he's too slow, he can't hit you, if one of those connects, you can go to sleep. BJ went up to sleep. Thought he was just gonna beat the big dude up, I guess. Big dude knocked him out. And so there's two videos of this incident with BJ. One of him getting knocked out, and one having hit the guy mounted and landing shots to what seemed to be near the back of the head. And so, which order did they happen? Well, we saw him mounting the guy first, but I don't think that was what makes the most sense. I think that was BJ pissed off that he got knocked out. But we have to wait for all of this to play out. We still don't know the detail. Even if BJ got knocked out first, that doesn't make this much better, because we don't, they could have been already fighting before the cameras got turned on. BJ could have been the one that started it. We still don't know. Just because you get knocked out in a fight doesn't give you license to go get revenge because your ego is shattered that you got knocked out. And I talked about this in Discord. I think these little motherfuckers got that little man complex. You know what I'm saying? These dudes that fight at like 135, 145 pounds, but they're professional fighters, but they be out in bars and people don't respect them like they're professional fighters. You know what I'm saying? Because there's some pretty big dudes out here, tall, big, even, either or, and or tall and or big. I mean, you probably ain't respecting, little man, little 145 pound, 155 pound McGregor or BJ like you would in Ngannou or Stipe. You know what I'm saying? Like, dude, get the fuck out of my seat. Who do you think you are? Conor McGregor. You know who I am. Who? Pisses him off, sets the ego on fire, gotta punch an old man. I'm not drinking your fucking whiskey, dude. And I say that because you don't ever see fucking Ngannou or Stipe Mark Hunt's even, pissed off at the UFC. You don't see none of these heavyweight dudes out here in bars just cold cocking motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? They don't ever seem to get in as many of these situations, any of these bar fight situations. I can't think of any professional heavyweight UFC fighter that I've ever heard about being in some sort of bar altercation. And we're going to talk about Rumble Johnson coming up because he was recently involved in an alleged domestic dispute. This one, the details were a little hairy. The girl, I believe he was moving out of the house. He was packing his things and leaving the house. She tried to stop him. He picked her up. And she was like, oh, well, he was a professional fighter, so I felt threatened when he picked me up and moved me out the way. And I was like, I mean, what is he supposed to do if you're in the way of the door? Pick you up and move you out of the way of the door. But if you didn't get hurt at all, clearly he had no, vicious intent. Like Anthony Rumble Johnson's lawyer said, if Anthony Rumble Johnson hits you, your grandmother will feel it. So he obviously wasn't trying to hurt this woman in this situation. He was actually, from the story, seemed to be trying to get the fuck away from the situation, and she was trying to keep him there, which is some baby back, bagel biting, beta bullshit. So yeah, BJ Penn got in this little bar fight. This dude needs cut from the UFC. I mean, he's lost like fucking 14, 15 fights in a row. Okay, not that many, but like 7. He's lost a lot of fights in a row. I don't think he's got a win since like 2013, somewhere back then. This is, and especially like whenever I got into fighting, BJ Penn was big, but he wasn't. I was a casual fan back then, so my favorites were Anderson Silva, and I really had my favorites: Anderson Silva, Rampage Jackson, and those guys. I didn't pay attention to the whole sport, so I knew who BJ Penn was. I knew he was a champion, and I liked BJ, but I wasn't a hardcore fan to really appreciate everything back then. But for the people that were, all of this shit is well, for the betas, heartbreaking. I've seen people say this. Like, this is heartbreaking. BJ, stop. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get what they're saying, though, because it's someone they looked up to, and now he's just losing fight after fight after fight, getting in situations outside of the octagon. It's like, when will it stop? So, I completely get that. But, I mean, I think the UFC should have grounds to cut him at this point. But the UFC being the great businessmen that they are, if they feel like when they cut BJ Penn, he's just going to go sign to fight somewhere else, they're not going to cut him. It's like, yeah, we want to cut you because we don't want you to fight anymore, but we don't want you to go make Bellator no money. You know what I'm saying? Not for free. We ain't just trying to let you go just to go to Bellator, and maybe they will. We have seen, people's contracts expires and they re-sign with Bellator, and that does happen. So maybe the UFC is at the point to where they're willing to let BJ Penn walk to Bellator. Like, you know what? That'll be, like blood on you guys' hands. If you guys want to book BJ Penn in fights, go ahead. So maybe that is an option for BJ Penn, but no more in the UFC. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they cut him after this weekend. Moving on, Dana White addressing Conor McGregor's apology and sexual assault allegations. In this, he's not saying much on it. He says he's talked to Conor McGregor a couple of times. I think he says he talks to him a couple of times a month. But he said, Conor and I talk at least a couple of times a month, and I think he needed to do that as far as the apology. I didn't tell him to do it. He did that on his own, and it's good for him. Of course you didn't tell him to do it. I mean, it probably wasn't Dana. But I think Conor was probably told to do it. I don't think Dana is Conor's PR team, but I would think Conor's got enough money in a sense at this point to have a PR team. So I do think it was probably PR for sure. Yeah, and it came out late. Like I said, he didn't. We all know he didn't apologize right after he punched the old man when he realized he was a fucking geezer beater. He apologized after the video came out. And he looked like a beta. That's the only he didn't apologize before. Like, man, you guys, I fucked up. I don't even know if there's a video. I just want to let you guys know I went into a bar. Someone turned down my whiskey, and I overreacted. So I want to let you guys know now. I'm getting ahead of this. Nothing might even come of it, but I am working to change my life because I've been doing things that I shouldn't be doing, and I need to get back on track. So I apologize. You know, he didn't apologize beforehand. I apologize to anyone affected by any of my, lashing out. But I'm working on becoming a better person. It wasn't until after the video dropped and you look like a geezer beater that you fucking do all of this apologizing. That's PR, 100% PR. So I don't think Dana's his PR agent, but I think he was told. Now, as far as the sexual assault allegations, Dana White said, I know zero about that, and to be honest with you, the back and forth that I've had with him about that, it's not him. It's somebody else, so I don't know. And when I listened to the interview, that's not what it sounded like I heard. What I heard him say, he said, Conor, from what I've talked to, Conor said it's not him. It's a different, Irish athlete. So when I was listening to Dana White, he said, Conor told me it wasn't him. Of course Conor's talking to Dana. Hey, Conor, did you fucking rape some chick? I did it, Dana. Yeah, I did it. What? Of course you... No, I would never. Who's going to admit to that? Fucking raping some chick in some coked up rage. Like, I got her, Dana. What the fuck? Yeah, Dana, I fucked up, man. You can admit to that? What? Conor would... He's not apologizing until after the video comes out. He's not going to apologize for an alleged sexual assault until after the fucking video comes out. He's going to deny that shit until he don't have to no more. You can't trust him on any of these fucking allegations. Because we know he's not going to come out and say nothing until he gets caught. So I actually believe he probably had something to do with that shit, man. It would make sense. We know he's got anger issues. Beta! So why I could see him not being able to control his anger in a situation like that or whatever the fuck. Could you imagine being given this chick? He's been probably coked up all night. Brings this chick back to the room, giving her coke all night. She's been drinking the whiskey. He thinks she's feeling the vibes. She gets back there. She's like, "Oh no, I just wanted to see what your room looked like. My Uber's outside." If he'll punch an old man, you don't think he would take that situation wrong? If a chick denied him, he just punched an old man. You don't think he could be drunk and on coke and do some shit like that? Of course he's gonna deny it. That's all I'm saying. Beta! Let's move on. Dana White explains why the UFC put Darren Till against Kelvin Gastelum in his first fight at middleweight. Oh, this got the MMA fans in an uproar. Great job, Dana White. Great job. I love this booking. Dana White's doing a masterful job as a promoter. He's got everybody counting Till out. What's Dana doing? It's too early. No, Till! Save Till! Till's gonna get knocked out. Like Till, the people are acting like Till's not even a professional fighter. Like it's Kelvin Gastelum versus the old man. No, this is Darren Till, guys. A light heavyweight that was fighting at welterweight. He's probably gonna have a size advantage in this fight, and this fight's probably gonna stay on the feet. He's got a height advantage. It's gonna be a great weapon already against Kelvin Gastelum's wrestling. So Kelvin's gonna have to stay standing with Till. Kelvin just lost a decision to Adesanya. I think this fight's going to play out a lot more like the Adesanya fight than any of Kelvin's previous middleweight fights against guys that were, 35 plus. Tim Kennedy's, the Jacare's, who that was a controversial split decision win. The Tim Kennedy's, the Jacare's, the Vitor Belfort. He literally has been on a Legends ass-kicking tour. And so Darren Till's not one of these old Thundercats he's been fighting. I think this fight is... for Kelvin Gastelum is way more similar to his Adesanya fight than any of the fights he's been in, and he lost that fight. So I say it's a bold prediction, but to me it's really not that bold. I'm telling you guys right now, Darren Till's going to beat Kelvin Gastelum. That's my prediction for the fight. I don't know if he's going to knock him out. It might be a decision similar to the Adesanya fight. But as many people as I see counting Kelvin Gastelum out and thinking this is too soon for Till and all of this, and oh, he was just fighting taxi drivers and he just lost his last UFC fight. There's no way he can win. How about the fact that he's not killing himself in the weight cut anymore? How about the fact that he could literally look better than we've ever seen him in this fight? Because he was one of the guys that actually was suffering to get to that weight. He almost had to cut off a damn leg to make 170. So he was a huge welterweight. He's one of the guys that will actually transition up better than even Kelvin Gastelum. Kelvin Gastelum, with proper nutrition and Lockhart and all of that shit, he could probably fight at 170. Till too, but I think Kelvin Gastelum, I think Till's a little bigger even. So with that being said, I think it's kind of crazy how many people are counting Darren Till out like he's some fucking young Thundercat making his UFC debut that's just been fighting bums. Oh, he got knocked out by Masvidal. Guys, for one, he rocked Masvidal, and for two, Masvidal's one of the best, if not the best motherfucking fighter in the world. Okay, not the best because all the champions and athletes and wrestlers that have crossed over. But if you're talking about real fighters and not athletes that crossed over, for the prize, if you're talking about people that used to really get down and they do this shit to feed their family and that are really about that life, Masvidal's the best at that, the best in the world. The guys that are the fighters. Masvidal is the best fighter in the world. So he can knock anybody the fuck out, especially in their backyard. So yeah, man, I love the Gastelum versus Till matchup. I love the reaction from the fans. Everybody, oh my God, it's so soon. And they're all going to be just so shocked when Darren Till comes in here and fucking wins this fight. And it's going to be lovely. That's why I love this sport of MMA. Moving on. BJ Penn involved in multiple bar fights in one night. Well, it was with the same guy, but we already talked about that. I didn't realize I had it. He was involved where he got knocked out, and then later on he got in the fight where he had the motherfucker mounted and landing them shots. Was the ones that Luke Rockhold was landed on David Branch. Made that motherfucker. The dude couldn't even tap the strikes. I think he was knocked out at that point, and BJ was still mounting his ass. So, no excuse for that. Beta BJ! Anthony Johnson planning on a UFC return at heavyweight, avoiding jail time and ducking USADA. Okay. No, but seriously, this motherfucker is huge now. This guy used to fight at 170. He fought at 185. He's fought at heavyweight. He fought at 205. You want to talk about pound for pound? This motherfucker's probably fought in more weight classes than just about anybody. Anthony Rumble Johnson, and he's a fun fighter. Everyone loves to watch him fight. Just because he knocks motherfuckers dead, you know what I'm saying? One of the most dangerous power punchers and strikers in the light heavyweight division and all of these divisions. At heavyweight now, it's going to be ridiculous if he can get past pesky USADA, which I think he can. I mean, we got Paulo Costa and these guys looking, you know what I'm saying? So I think Rumble Johnson, as long as he's in there with the right people, you know what I'm saying? He got the right guys on his payroll, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Right manager, whatever, you know what I'm saying? I think he could get by. I think we'll get to see some fun Rumble Johnson fights. We've always wanted to see Rumble Johnson versus John Jones. That's a fight people would love to see. It was supposed to happen in the past. I think, was it Rumble or Jones? Jones, I think, might have got injured or failed a drug test, something. And so the fight didn't happen. But they had the press conference for it. They faced off. And it's a fight people have been clamoring to see for a long time. So we could see John Jones versus Rumble. A lot of people would love to see Rumble versus Ngannou. Rumble versus Derek Lewis. Rumble versus, Stipe could be fun. Stipe probably box him up, maybe use a little bit of wrestling. We have seen wrestling effective against Rumble. But Rumble at heavyweight, just a whole new, array of opponents for him to fight. So would love to see him return. Glad to see he's staying out of jail, avoiding jail time, because this recent misdemeanor domestic battery seemed like some bullshit where the chick was just mad he was leaving and not playing her game, and she still ended up calling the fucking police. He moved me out the way, and since he's a professional fighter, I was scared. Yeah, let's fucking give him a battery for that. Now that's bullshit, especially when somebody already has a checkered past, so people are just gonna believe you, even if you're fucking just being a dirty little, you know what I'm saying, evil woman. So that's what that situation seemed like. Straight lies. And I called that on the John Jones strip club situation. It's like, no, man, John Jones is not my GOAT. I'm not the biggest John Jones. I'm definitely not a John Jones stan. I'm not even the biggest fan. I think he's even a little overrated as a fighter. But I didn't think he was guilty in that strip club situation. from the very beginning. Never once did that shit fly by me. I know how some of these bitches are, man, especially these strip club bitches. You know what I'm saying? Always looking for some money. We heard the details. Oh, you can only touch me there if you give me $100. Okay, we know the deal. That's getting thrown out. And especially, thankfully for John Jones, there's video, or everyone would have just took it and ran with it. So I'm sure that video will drop probably before his next fight, a few months leading up to his next fight, you know, to help build that. But yeah, man, love to see Rumble back, and there's a lot of great fights for him, as long as he can get past that pesky USADA. Kamaru Usman versus Colby Covington, targeted for UFC 244 in New York. Let's go, Kamaru Usman versus the Beta Slayer, Colby Covington. The Nerd Bash is back. Can't wait to see this fight, man. Colby Covington has grown on me, and it's partly because I know it's an act, honestly. If I really thought he was a piece of shit, and the fact that, you know, he represents America and all of this, and he's doing this whole act, it kind of, you know, as somebody that is an American, and I'm proud of it, you know what I'm saying? That part I don't really agree with, because I feel like he's making Americans look like shit. But hey, I mean, if that's your gimmick, you know, it's not too hard to do anyway. So, that part I didn't like, but the little cracks that I've seen in the armor, where like the video came out of him telling that guy, giving him great advice, you know, it was a young Mexican guy too, came up to Colby Covington, he was a fan, asked him, told him, hey man, I want to be a professional fighter, what should I do? Colby gave him really, you know, good advice, like heartfelt, like, yo man, this is what you got to do, you really got to love the sport, you got to grind every day, and when you get tired, grind again, you know, and if you keep doing that, if you really love the sport, you can make it to the top of this sport, and don't let nobody tell you different. And the dude was like, yo, I really like you and you're like this, like you should do this more often. And he was like, yo man, it's not what sells. It really let me know Colby Covington's head is in the game, his heart really deep, you know, past the gimmick, is in the right place. And the gimmick is really just something that's great for entertainment. Chael Sonnen dropped a video on it recently with Henry Cejudo, and he talked about, you know, characters and how everything don't have to be fake, but if you want to sell tickets, if you want to move up the card, if you want to fight, you know, be a main event, sell more tickets, get more opportunities, then you might want to take some lessons from these guys and start being a little more vocal. So, Usman versus Colby Covington, as far as the fight is concerned, man, well, shit, as far as the card is concerned, 244 is going to be stacked. It's Madison Square Garden. It's going to be litty but giddy. But as far as Kamaru Usman versus Colby Covington, first, I was all Kamaru Usman. Like, man, he's too big for Colby. You know, as far as the striking is concerned, yeah, Colby might have a cardio advantage and maybe even a technical striking advantage, because he does train with the American Top Team. He has for a long time. He's been developing his striking for a while now. So, just like somebody who trains jiu-jitsu and wrestling for years, they develop their game, Colby's striking game is definitely going to come together. And with that being said, as far as technical striking, he might be a better technical striker than Usman. I believe that. But I would give Usman the power advantage, maybe even a slight size advantage, which always helps in those wrestling scenarios, because Colby looked a little small in there when he fought Robbie Lawler last. He had a great performance, but just as far as the size is concerned, he looked like he could be fighting at 165, and Lawler could be fighting at 175. Like, he just looked a little bit smaller. So, Usman, I would love to see how they match up as far as size, because both of them are great wrestlers, and size is so important when it comes to those wrestling clinch scenarios, and it would really help, you know, my prediction on this fight a little bit. Like, if Usman had that same size advantage with his skill set that Robbie had, I would be picking Usman. But as far as technical skills, man, Colby's pretty much got him beat everywhere. Colby's the better wrestler, technically, and the better striker, technically. Now, so Kamaru Usman's really best advantage in this fight is going to be his strength and size, because they're both really good wrestlers, but Colby actually, you know, in amateur wrestling was better. He was D1, I think Kamaru was D2, and so, you know, he was wrestling at a higher level before the UFC. Striking, he's been training with the American Top Team and Masvidal and the boys for a lot longer. His hands are probably better. His striking's probably better. So Usman, to win this fight, it's really going to have to be more of a power and strength thing, a size thing. Because Colby's a better technical fighter, man. So it's going to be a great fight for those reasons. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's, I don't have any. I like to go with what's best for business a lot of times. Also, of course, if there's an obvious advantage, you know what I'm saying, then I could definitely consider the technical aspect. But when in doubt, I also like to think about what's best. I don't know in this situation. I mean, Covington, I know he's been hard to deal with. He's talked about going to the WWE. Usman, I don't. Oh well, I do know what's next for whoever I think wins this fight, but I don't know who's going to win this fight. I was giving the edge to Usman. Now I'm slightly leaning toward Colby, so I just can't wait to see the fight and see how it all plays out. But whoever wins this fight, I know what's fucking next. Here's one of my bold predictions. Masvidal. Don't matter who wins this fight. Jorge Masvidal's getting the next title shot. That's it. Not fighting Nate Diaz. The UFC's not stupid. The UFC owners, that would blow my mind if they actually booked Masvidal versus Nate Diaz, almost as much as it did when Nate called him out. I respect Nate for calling him out, but the UFC's smarter than that. If you're a businessman, if you know about the combat sports business, you know that the UFC's smarter than that. They're not booking Masvidal versus Nate Diaz unless they're absolutely done with McGregor, which they're not. The only fight that makes sense for Nate Diaz right now is Conor McGregor. It's the only one. And this dude's been offered title fights in multiple divisions while he was out for the 3 years. He was offered fight after fight, opportunity after opportunity. He was chilling. Bike season after bike season. Literally at one point, I don't know if you guys remember this or not. I remember it clear as day. He was offered a title shot in any weight class. And yo, do you want to fight? We'll literally give you a title shot against Woodley. I know you guys remember the Woodley and Nate Diaz thing. Nate and Woodley confirmed that, even though Dana White tried to deny it. They confirmed the UFC was trying to book Nate versus Tyron for the 170 title. It didn't happen. He could have fought for the interim or the lightweight title in that 3-year span. Never happened. He had title shot opportunities. Now, why did it not happen? Make up your own reason. Make up your own reason. But to me, why it didn't happen is because it didn't make the most sense. And, dollars make sense. And the biggest fights for Nate Diaz is going to end up being McGregor 3. It's always going to be the best fight for Nate Diaz. Yes, it might be good to come back and get a warm-up fight, a tune-up fight, get, back in the octagon, get the cage filled, whatever the Pettis fight just was, refresh people's memory who you are. But it's Conor McGregor. Nate, I'm telling you right now, and the casual fans might not agree with me, but if fighters were watching this, the Masvidals, the people that really know about the fight game, they will tell you Masvidal will beat McGregor and Nate Diaz. Especially being, I honestly believe he has a size advantage over Nate even at this point, because both of them used to fight at 155, but Masvidal has been a lot more set at the 170-pound division. But power advantage, cardio, Nate don't have that same cardio advantage he has on a lot of guys. Masvidal's not a guy that cracks under pressure. Great cardio. Masvidal's got good wrestling. He wouldn't utilize it. He wouldn't try and take Nate down. People are like, oh yeah? You think Masvidal can beat Nate? I think Nate's got better jiu-jitsu. Fucking casual turds. Fuck out of... Ugh. It's disgusting to me, half these casual takes I see. What? You think Nate would lose? But he's got good jiu-jitsu. Oh, yeah? What do you think, fucking Masvidal doesn't know jiu-jitsu? Oh, by the way, why didn't Nate submit Conor in the second fight? He did jiu-jitsu. His jiu-jitsu's way better than Conor's. Masvidal's jiu-jitsu's way better than Conor. You can't just walk up and standing Ezekiel choke everybody because you got good jiu-jitsu. You can't just walk up and pull him down into your fucking Ezekiel choke like fucking Alexei Olenek. but he's got good jiu-jitsu. Oh, really? Cool story. He don't shoot takedowns. Conor was walking around like this, hands on his head. McGregor fast, deep breaths. Like, make sure to take him down. You know what DC would do? Or Khabib? If somebody was walking around like this, just out of gas, can't even sprawl, they're so tired. You would think, with your great jiu-jitsu, you would just automatically want to get the fight to the... People, when I made this argument in the Discord, they were like, oh, what? But I don't, like, I explained those points, and they're like, yeah, but I still don't know. Nate's got good jiu-jitsu. I can't win. Obviously. But hey, man, I'm just telling you. Masvidal, in my opinion, beats them both. Masvidal is the exposer. Some people got a lot of momentum, they got a lot of star power, and they're not the best fighters in the world. And I think there's a lot of people, professional fighters, that would agree, people, hardcore fans that would agree. Conor McGregor and Nate Diaz kind of fit that category. I don't know how long everyone here listening to this has been watching MMA, but before Nate Diaz fought Conor McGregor, he was definitely not known as one of the best fighters in the world. Definitely not. He was known as one of the realest, but it wasn't one of the best. Actually, Nate Diaz was known as the elite Diaz brother. Nate Diaz was always more known as just Nick's little brother. Like, it was the Diaz brothers, but Nate was the one on the back burner. Nick was the one fighting the GSPs, the BJ Penns, the Anderson Silvas, and shit like that. You know, Nate was just down to fight anybody, anywhere, anytime, because he was a real fighter. So that's where his respect came from. It wasn't from being elite. So Nate's not an elite fighter. We know McGregor's, I mean, he did great at featherweight, didn't really defend his title. I mean, I could literally give you a bunch of asterisks for McGregor, but I'll tell you, and we even kind of see it in the Khabib fight, and if we see a Khabib rematch, we'll see it again. Conor McGregor is one of those guys who got to the top of the game because he's skilled, but not the most well-rounded elite fighter in the world. There was definitely a little help, you know, from the hype. Masvidal, that's not the case. He didn't get to the top of the game because he got some fluky win over some hype job. He didn't get to the top of the game because he wanted to talk trash and fucking put on mink coats and do all this fucking, you know, Ric Flair. Like, he wasn't with the antics. He was always one of the people that put principles over the business, and that's what held him back. That if the UFC could have got Masvidal to act like a fucking WWE character 10 years ago, he would already be one of the biggest stars in the game because he's got the skills to back it up. But he refuses to do that. He'll respond to you. But he's not with the back and forth chit chat. 3-piece in a soda, you know how it goes. He never been with it. Since the fucking Kimbo backyard days, that's never been his lifestyle. Talking trash. And no. And so that's what's always held Masvidal back. The only reason he's here today is because he's that fucking good. He's got 46 pro fights at like 32 years old, and he don't have a fucking slur. Not even close. He ain't got no scar tissue. He's not one of the guys known for getting clipped up and bleeding easy because he's been punched so many times. He ain't got the fucking crazy cauliflower. He don't get hit that much because he's got so much skills. People's best hope at beating Masvidal is fluky submission, hold him down with your, have a size advantage and hold him down, or be some crazy counter striker like Wonder Boy and stay at distance. You know, the whole fight, try and, you know what I'm saying? Try and use your range. Masvidal's worst enemy is his size when it comes to the best of the best in the world and politics. But that's why he's here, and that's why I know he would fucking smash McGregor and Nate Diaz. Fucking triple threat. No, but he would. In my opinion, it's really not close of a fight, and I think the UFC knows that, and I think both of them know that, and I think Nate Diaz calling him out was a huge sign of respect and awesome, but I think Nate Diaz's managers and team know that that's not the smartest fight at all. But you know what is a great fight? And hardcore fans might disagree, but I mean, it's a great fight in terms of the magnitude, in terms of the style matchup, and in terms of the trilogy. McGregor versus Diaz 3. That's something that your fucking brothers and sisters and kids and parents and grandparents, they're all going to want to see that. That's still a huge fight. That's still big business. Even if you're a hardcore fan and you know what's going on, so you might be over it, guess what? The minute that fight's announced, everybody's going to give a fuck. The hardcore fans would love Masvidal versus Nate, even some of the casuals. But it's not going to be as big as McGregor-Nate 3. And so, the UFC's never wanted to push Masvidal in the past. Now he's got a little hype and they got no choice, so fuck it. If he's got all this leverage, we might as well, get him this title shot. He fucking literally deserves it. He earned it, everything. So he's going to get his title shot. But he ain't going to get that Nate Diaz fight. They ain't going to risk Diaz McGregor 3 for Masvidal. Y'all don't know the game, man. I'm telling you right now, mark my fucking words, McGregor versus Diaz 3 is next. And I'll make this bold prediction. It'll be on the same card as Khabib versus Ferguson, or really right after, one after another. Because I do think Ferguson's getting the next motherfucking title shot. Khabib just got to take care of work in Abu Dhabi, which is going to be a lot harder than people think. Dustin Poirier is so fucking good, man. He's so fucking good. So good. But Habibi, fighting in front of Pops in Abu Dhabi, all the Muslims, he's going to have that motherfucking spirit of, I don't know his name. What do they call him? Allahu Akbar? I really don't know his name. Muhammad. He'll have all them motherfuckers with him. So, he's going to have, you know what I'm saying, that unlocked potential that night. It's going to be like Dustin Poirier's in there fighting 2 Khabibs. You literally going to need a weapon to beat Khabib that night. But after that, I am predicting Khabib to win. Khabib versus Ferguson. Diaz versus McGregor 3. Masvidal versus the winner of Covington Usman. If I'm the UFC, and I've been paying attention to the UFC for a long time, I love the UFC, the business aspect, the promotional aspect, huge fan of it. I love that shit. That's what makes the most business sense, and that's what's going to happen, because the UFC's not stupid. So, Usman versus Covington, love the fight, and the winner, I can't wait to see fight Masvidal. Even though I don't love his chances against either one of those guys, he just deserves the title shot. Henry Cejudo, Triple C, calling for a tune-up fight against the brutal former champ Dominic Cruz. Oh, this is the best. This is the best. This wasn't as breaking news, so it wasn't at the beginning of the show, but Henry Cejudo, he's literally doing epic shit right now. Chael made a video that was like, fighters take notes. 100%. Chael knows how to get to the main event and sell pay-per-views and sell tickets and all of the above. And what Cejudo's doing right now, is it cringy? Sure, it might be a little cringy, but this shit is entertaining. And do you know what this business is, by the way? You got that right. It's the entertainment business. It doesn't matter if it's cringy. It doesn't matter if it's infuriating. It needs to be entertaining. And we're going to watch this right here, and if you don't think this is entertaining, then you have no soul. Take me all the way to Instagram. There we go.
And Triple C went on to become rich and famous, and he became the greatest combat athlete of all time. The end. Oh my, man, what's that smell? Ah, TJ sharted again.
TJ sharted again. That was my favorite part. He said, oh, TJ sharted again. He said again. We haven't even finished the video. This shit is epic.
Jesus. Anyways, kids, I've been thinking. Daddy's been having really tough fights lately. This last year and a half, he's fought Demetrius Johnson, the greatest of all time, beat him. T.J. Dillashaw, the greatest bantamweight of all time, beat him. And also, we beat the killer in Marlon Moraes. Daddy wants an easy fight, kids. I want somebody that I could break. I want somebody brittle. I want somebody easy. In wrestling, we call them pud whackers, fish. Or better yet, how about a tune-up fight? Dominic Cruz, I have the message.
The shirt.
I don't know how you can say you're the best in the world when you're not even the best out of the state of Arizona. Dominic Cruz, you can do me a favor and you can bend the knee to Triple C too. And one last thing. Wash your filthy dog.
Alpha male. Yo. Henry Cejudo said, "You're not even the best in the state of Arizona." He said it all with a straight face too. That's the best part. He kept the straight face at the end right here. This is literally look at his face. How many videos do you think he had to make before he could keep a straight face all the way through? You're not even the best in the state of Arizona. Wash your filthy dog, and you know people get emotional over their dogs, you know. Wash your filthy dog. He insulted his dog. Where's PETA?
I don't know how you can say you're the best in the world when you're not even the best out of the state of Arizona. Dominic Cruz, you can do me a favor and you can bend the knee to Triple C too.
Bend the knee to Triple C. Yo, TJ sharded again. Take fucking notes. That is entertaining. Yo, and watch, he's gonna start getting bigger opportunities, bigger fights, more followers, more money. Triple C's about to be rolling in the dough, you guys. He saved the flyweight division, by the way. I haven't seen one public thank you to Henry Cejudo from any of those guys. Some guys have literally been cut by the UFC and then re-signed whenever Henry Cejudo saved the division. I mean, Henry Cejudo has got this division on his back, and low-key the bantamweight division too, and hey, maybe even females flyweight. He's calling out everybody. He's literally calling out everybody, by the way. Including Valentina Shevchenko. You know what he needs to start doing? Turn full hit. Bro, go in on Demetrius Johnson. Yeah, Demetrius Johnson ran away from, he was traded, but Demetrius Johnson don't want to come back. Like, he could easily just, even though the second fight was close, that's why it would be so much funnier. I smashed the greatest of all time. At least he's saying he beat the greatest of all time, so that works. Maybe it's not the best. Maybe they don't want to do that, because that is one who they've done business with. Clearly, they traded with them, and talking about Demetrius Johnson is kind of like devaluing their product a little bit that you traded them, so maybe it's not really ethical business-wise. I don't know how they, the relationship with one, so maybe that's a reason you wouldn't take that angle. But other than that, I think you should I love it. Continue. I mean, Henry Cejudo, the one thing that a lot of people didn't like is him calling out Valentina. Hey, man, the more people you get butt hurt, the more tickets you're going to sell. If your goal is to get people butt hurt, fuck it. He should have called out the number 2 contender. In flyweight, like, I don't even want to fight Valentina. Give me fucking, what's her name? Caitlin Chukagian. He should have just, randomly called out Caitlin Chukagian. Like, he don't even want to fight. Is he scared of Valentina? Like, it would have just made people's minds like, what the fuck is he doing? He's calling a woman and he's ducking Valentina? Like, that would have made people more angry. That would have been funny. But yeah, man, I love it. I love it. I can't wait to see what he does next. Corey Anderson, he's also turning it up a little bit. He thinks he's in John Jones' head. He said, all that goat talking, you're soft like baby shit. You're soft like Charmin. He recently showed up with some of his boys, you know, John Jones. I don't know if he was at a public signing. He was in the public somewhere. Corey Anderson showed up, and I ain't gonna lie, man, John Jones didn't look prepared. He didn't look like he had his bodyguards with him. And he seemed like he thought Corey Anderson was coming with the problems. He's like, okay, I might be able to beat Corey, but he's got some big dudes with him. Listen, Corey, man, I don't want any problems here, man. Like, this is not the place. Like, what? Where was all that energy when you were pushing fucking DC at the press conference on all of that? This is not the place. I don't want to do that here. This isn't the fight. If you want to fight, you can get it the right way. You go the right way, John. When has John been about the right way? No, man. But Corey Anderson, I mean, I follow him on YouTube. I subscribe to his YouTube channel. He be doing a lot of, I'm not interested in the videos because he does a lot of like hunting and shit like that. I'm not super into hunting and watching people just watch, you know. Like, yeah, man, if you can give me a highlight clip, it would be awesome. You know, I watch the highlights of you hunting, but I don't want to be with you for the fucking 3 hours while you're just sitting there and setting up your bird seed and your perches and whatever you guys set up out there. You know, but I'll definitely check out the highlights. But, so yeah, but I'll subscribe because I am a fan of Corey Anderson. Awesome episode on the Joe Rogan podcast. It can only last so long, if you guys know what I'm talking about. So, I'm a fan of Corey. Would love to see him get this opportunity. He's for sure the most deserving light heavyweight contender at this point. He just doesn't have the following to get that push right now. But if you're talking about beating the ranked opponents, fighting in the division, all of these things, then Corey's for sure the guy. So he's going to be fighting Johnny Walker next, and I'm sure the winner of that fight will get the next title shot. But yeah, man, Corey Anderson coming out, talking a little bit of smack now. Keep it up, brother. That's how you do it. The California State Athletic Commission tells 6 fighters, including Paulo Costa, to move up in weight after UFC 241. We seen in California, they test fighters like the day they weigh in and then the day of the fight to see how much they rehydrated. And, you know, so Paulo Costa, they go off percentage. Paulo Costa's supposed to weigh in at 185, and I think on fight night he might have been above 200 pounds. But, you know, if you're supposed to be fighting at featherweight and you weigh in at like 160, by percentage, they come out a little bit higher. So there was like 6 fighters who didn't meet the percentage criteria. And so to fight in California again, they're going to either have to work with the UFC PI or some official nutritionist and prove that they can make the weight healthily in the right way and all of this, or else they won't be allowed to fight in the state of California unless they move up a weight class. But they can just go everywhere else. It's like, okay, California, you don't want Paulo Costa to fight? It's like, try telling Conor McGregor to go up a weight class or not come back to your state. I'll just fight in the state right next door, or Vegas, or New York, or Brazil, or China, or anywhere. I'll just fight anywhere else but your state if you don't want to let me fight there. But I get it, you know what I'm saying? I actually like what the California State Athletic Commission is doing. Like, weighing guys, you have your weigh-ins, but okay, how much are you rehydrating? Because some of these dudes rehydrate so much, you got to wonder how the hell they're doing it. People used to be able to rehydrate with IVs, and those got banned, and so it's a lot harder to rehydrate as much. So unless you're just a pro at cutting weight, it's a lot harder to rehydrate up. So when you see big dudes like Paulo Costa, who already make you raise a skeptical eye, and who's already been caught on video using an IV, and already, got that USADA situation they had to deal with for using that IV, but then they use the snitching clause like John Jones, so you don't even know if they're still cooperating or what's going on. Whole lot of fishiness. So that's one of the first things that I thought of whenever Paulo Costa rehydrated like fucking 25 pounds. Like, are they giving this guy a fucking IV still? This dude's huge. But maybe he's just great at cutting weight. Who knows? All right. One last thing. Upcoming fight recently announced. Carlos Condit versus Mickey Gall. Headed to UFC on 7. And this should be for Carlos Condit what BJ Penn's last bar fight was for him. Your final test. If you lose this fight, bro, just Go to be a brain surgeon or something. Because I don't know if you guys know, but Carlos Condit's really fucking smart. Like, I seen him in an interview talking about some caveman coffee or something like that. Some frozen ice brewed coffee, whatever they do to that shit. Put it in the microwave, then freeze it, then put that shit back in the microwave. They do all type of scientific shit. Drop 3 fucking sensu beans in there, put it in the oven. Some crazy coffee. Doing an interview, but he was using all type of big words that made him sound like a brain surgeon to me. And I was like, I don't even understand his conversation. These words are so big. And I'm a pretty smart guy. This motherfucker should not be fighting. He could literally, you know what I'm saying? Like, he probably got 3 degrees or something the way he's talking. So, with that being said, that also can be why he hasn't been the greatest fighter in the world. You know what I'm saying? If you're not 100% into the fight game, you're not going to be able to compete with the guys that are. So, who knows if that's it for Condit, but this should be a fight, a winnable fight. We have seen Carlos Condit submitted in the past, though. That has been one of his weaknesses, is getting taken down and submitted. Mickey Gall's got great jiu-jitsu. So this is not a great matchup for Carlos Condit as far as style-wise, but it's a good test to see if he's still got the goal to make it in the UFC, no pun intended. So I like the fight, I like the matchup, I like the pairing. It's going down in DC, Condit versus Mickey Gall. Fun fight. Mickey Gall's been training with Joe Schilling. I really like that. He's got good jiu-jitsu. He's training with a really good kickboxer. So I really like that pairing as far as his training is concerned. But I would much rather see him train with just like American Top Team, you know, or instead of just trying to work on your kickboxing, let's just work on everything. But either way, I do like the fact that he's evolving his stand-up, and we know he can hold his own when it hits the mat. So Mickey Gall, he's looking for this win. Carlos Condit definitely needs it. We'll see what happens. That's really the last thing I got for the show today, so I'm going to pull up the comments, and then I'll be out of your hair. Jay Skillz in the building. John Taylor. George Page. What's going on, brother? Thanks for that $2 donation. I saw that on the, I premiered a video, and I heard the donation sound. I was like, what the fuck was that? And I seen it said George Page donated $2, so thank you very much, George Page. I truly appreciate that. Jay Skillz says, yeah, he worked on assistant in the surgery room. Really, did he? It sounded like it. That's crazy. I like, when I heard him, I was like, is this guy like a surgeon? So that makes sense. Coach says, I have a question. Don't get mad at me. What was the name of the guy username you trolled back in the day? Oscar? Fuck Oscar. You remember Oscar from back in the day? There's been a lot of people that trolled me. I trolled them. I mean, there's been El Chapo. There's been Oscar. There's been MMA Talk, or what was his name? All Day MMA. I don't remember his name. All Day MMA. There's been Super Cash. I mean, Super Cash is actually, turning around to look like fucking Mr. Cleo. He's been telling us about McGregor for a long He's been telling us about him for a long time. Jay Skillz says he should just call out Kayla Harrison to make it fair. By the way, Kayla Harrison, let's pull that up. I'm glad you said that. Kayla Harrison responded to Triple C. You want to call out women? I'll beat him. Kayla Harrison, Henry. How about you call out a woman your own size? Wait, he did already. Well, call out a woman bigger than you. Alright, we just got to go to the Schmo's video. She did an interview with the Schmo, and she pretty much just said she'll give Triple C the business. That's all you need to know. And I do agree. I think Amanda Nunes and Kayla Harrison would beat Henry Cejudo. I mean, he might be able to beat Henry Cejudo. He might be able to beat Amanda Nunes with his wrestling because he is a really good wrestler. But striking, I got Amanda Nunes all day, 100%. CFR Sports says Henry should fight the winner of the One Championship Grand Prix. No, he shouldn't. DJ just fought a guy named like Wada, who was fighting a guy that was had a 500 record. Now you go from fighting a guy with the 500 record, and then you fight one more fight, and then you're fighting Demetrius Johnson. Actually, the only reason I say you're right is because the winner's probably going to be Demetrius Johnson. So I would like to see Henry Cejudo versus Demetrius Johnson again, but I don't want to see people just fighting random guys from one. George Page says, I've never bend the knee to a fool. Bend the knee. Bend the knee to Triple C. You know, the crazy part is, even if some people bent the knee to Triple C, they're probably going to be taller than him. He's a pretty small guy. Royal Prince says, you're not even the best in the state of Arizona. I fucking love it. You're not even the best in the state of Arizona. Fucking love it, man. Alright, guys. Yeah, that's it for the show. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Stewie, too. At least we forget. I almost forgot about him, Stamina. You're right. Stewie, too. Stewie. But, yeah, man. Finest MMA chick, says Cultured. Oh, that's hard off the top of my head. Probably Rachel Ostovich or Mackenzie Darren, I guess. Just off the top of my head. But, alright, you guys. With that being said, someone said Cyborg. It is what it is, man. Let the full-time family know what you think in the comments and in the Discord. I'm out.